Welcome to Treanor Talks, a podcast about architecture, planning, and design. Today we're here with Dr. Leslie Nichols as part of our Ed Talk series to talk about the Gunnison Watershed School District 2022 bond program, their approach to community engagement, and integrating security and safety into their schools. My name is Patrick Johnson. I'm a principal at Treanor. Dr. Nichols, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Patrick. My name is Leslie Nichols, and this is my 28th year in education, 13th year as a superintendent. I started in the classroom for 15 years as a secondary teacher of English and then math. My journey into leadership started in the tiny town of Lake City, Colorado, and my entire career has been on the west slope of Colorado in some of the most rural and wild spaces that Colorado gets to boast about.
You certainly live and work in a beautiful place. So what got you into education to start with?
I think even as a child growing up, working with kids was always something that I was drawn to. I really felt called and continue to feel called to the bigger picture of public education. I think it is a foundation of our democracy. I think it matters so much in this grand experiment we have in America about seeing if we can have a representative government that listens to everybody and values all voices. And the role of public education in that I find incredibly motivating and rewarding and compelling. And I love what I do.
Fantastic. Well, we're honored to be in the Pathways Center today, recently completed addition and renovation for the district's career and technical education program. You have 5 total schools. We've finished 4 of the 5 in the Gunnison area and still doing work in the Crested Butte project. It's obviously been a long time coming to this point. It was a 2022 bond. Can you tell us a little bit about that history and what you did to really get the community engaged in hearing what they had to say and what they were looking for?
Absolutely. I was lucky to start in the Gunnison and Crested Butte schools in the Gunnison Watershed School District in 2018. And it was actually the year before that the district had started a really more formal master planning process for facilities. And that process really included just a host of community meetings, trying to get stakeholder engagement from parents, community leaders, our own staff of teachers and administrators. Our school board was really critical in weighing in on this is the direction we need to go based on the needs of the changing pressures in this valley. The Gunnison Valley with Crested Butte has really experienced incredible growth. We've had, over the past 25 years, our school district has grown consistently at 2.5%. The story behind that story is that our Crested Butte school over those past 25 years has increased over 100% in enrollment. And so the shift to the north end of our valley for families with kids in school has been palpable, and that resulted in some obvious pressures on facilities. At the north end of the valley, our schools across the valley were largely designed just before Columbine, and that reality, when we started this planning process in 17 and moving forward from there, became clear that we're really proud of the facilities that we have in this iteration of the 21st century for Gunnison Watershed. And we realized that we were at a moment, hearing the voices come to the table, that it's time. We have space needs, that's very fundamental, but other needs in maintenance, never the most exciting, were very real. And then really safety and security was one of the major driving factors that we heard from our community when we started really asking and listening to what are the needs that you sense.
Was there anything that surprised you that came out of the community feedback that you weren't expecting?
I think our community's understanding of the importance of our campuses broadly was, I don't know if it was so surprising, but it was very affirming. This community, north, south, everywhere in between, is very connected to and proud of our school district and there are generations of families who live across the valley who identify with this school system as what launched them into adulthood, and now they're kids, and now they're grandkids. And that sense of family, of ownership, was very inspiring. And just the amount of caring that resulted from the conversations that we had with stakeholders left an impression.
I know as we worked through the projects with you, maintaining and keeping bond promises was top priority. And anyone who's watched a home improvement TV show knows that things don't always go smoothly on construction projects. And fortunately, I think the district did a great job managing risk and was able to actually bring some additional things that were beyond really the bond promises to the schools. Are there anything that is top of mind that stands out that we were able to get done unexpectedly almost? Yeah,
I think we had some pretty clear priorities in the main promises that we made, in the bond program, which our voters supported in that 2022 election. And that was in safety and security. We promised to improve the safety and security of all of our buildings. In maintenance, we promised to upgrade our systems and to, in the end, have far more efficient systems that saved money, important money that goes back into our general fund so we can support our teachers and our staff as best we can. That can't be understated. It's all the behind the scenes maintenance work that nobody's going to see it, but we're saving so many pennies and dollars with better heating and cooling. We had a huge conversation in this community about, are we going to go with a ground source heat system for Gunnison Community School or highly efficient, more traditional boiler systems? And that conversation and the result is saving so much energy. It's saving so much money, and it allowed us to keep the building that we have. It's a wonderful building, and we couldn't just start over and still hit the mark of incredible improvements in efficiency and comfort and good learning environment for kids to, have that in the background. They're not thinking about the temperature or what it feels like. They're just able to learn. So making our buildings catch up to building science of the 21st century. Here we are in 2025, and our buildings are, as a result of this project, becoming, they are far smarter than they were a couple of years ago. The systems that we are integrating to how we do business are not top of mind for the everyday user. As you walk through our buildings, you're not going to be aware of the HVAC improvements that we've made, but that was the second main promise that we made to our community. And then the third one was to improve our learning spaces. We're a preschool through 12th grade educational organization, and being sure that when kids show up for school that they have facilities that support the most engaging, the most student-centered, the most impactful and exciting and powerful learning that we can provide as the adults in the room, that the facilities support that was our third big bucket of promise. And hitting all of those has been top of mind for the whole program. And then, as you mentioned, because of grant writing, because of effective risk management, because of some good fortune, I know that in the construction world, you really don't know what you're going to find as you start to dig in the ground or get behind walls that already exist. And while I am proud of our teams for managing that risk as best they can, I do recognize that we just did not have massive issues that impacted this project. And that was good fortune. We took advantage of that good fortune, though, and put those dollars that were being held for contingency to say, we don't know, as things unfold, we'll see what we have to do in the risk management department. And when those funds became available and we got past some of the risk moments, we said, well, one of our wish list items was to really do more on our campuses than those three big buckets of safety and maintenance and learning spaces prioritized. And that included, again, with grant dollars, and a local partner through the Metropolitan Recreation District, the MetRec, with a sizable donation, we were able to go to a synthetic turf athletic field in Crested Butte, and we were also able to realize what I thought was a total pipe dream, but we were able to realize a 9-lane rubber surface track at our Gunnison Community School. And those two amenities are such community assets. They contribute to the health of our students, but also we're very much a community facility mindset in this school district, and that track will be used as much by the community as it is our students. Our synthetic turf field will allow more days of use in our challenging mountain climate in Crested Butte, and that will be taken advantage of, yes, by students and by other community organizations, and so that we could bring that value to our taxpayers, and everybody who lives here felt really good. On top of the big 3 buckets of promise that we are also realizing in the program.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'm just to dig on that a little bit more. I do think, my sense is obviously Gunnison, Crested Butte are a little smaller communities than a lot of the metro or suburban areas, and I think inherently safer and more tight knit. And can you talk a little bit about, obviously a lot of improvements were done on your sites and on your campuses, playgrounds and the fields and the track that you mentioned, yeah. and they are really community assets. They're almost community parks, if you will. Can you talk a little bit about I don't know if tension is the right word, but being welcoming to the community, but also given the need for safety and security, how do you have safeguards around those campuses, and what are the boundaries, or how do you communicate that? Again, tension's not the right word, but need for both. Need to be welcoming, and also a need to really protect your staff and students.
Absolutely. There's a lot of competing pressures to what we bring to the community and to our operations as schools. And I love talking about school safety because it really is at the foundation level. It's at the beginning point of everything that we do. Kids only learn when they feel safe, when they're walking into buildings and they know, yeah, this is my place. I belong here. People here know me. People know my parents. They know my friends, and we feel like this is our space. This is our campus. And those feelings of belonging really do start with not just functional facilities, but what this project has brought is really beautiful facilities where our students and our families and our community feel the pride that we hold in how we do school. And we did do a lot of careful planning with families, with student voices, and really with our staff about how do we build the safest schools that we can without feeling like we're operating in a prison, because that is not a way to build that sense of belonging and calm and I can't wait to go to school. I'm going to see all my friends and we're going to have a great time and I'm going to learn a lot and there's adults who care about me. All of that has to happen in physical spaces that say, please come in, and this is where we want you to be. I think we've achieved that with the improvement to the learning spaces that this project has brought, the upgrades, the 21st century, quarter way through that century. These are the educational practices that we know work well when it comes to designing spaces. Our entry sequences in all of our campuses for how we enter our school buildings was a really thoughtful design process with experts in the room, users in the room, and this sense of how do we build an entire container that feels safe, not just how do the doors work. But we landed on features that allow easy entry. This is your space, but also have locked doors that are only controlled and opened when the circumstances are right. And that feels great too. We have door latch detection systems that will let us know centrally in our main offices and all of our sites if there is an exterior door that's far away from the main office and if it's gotten propped open, and we can address that and get someone over there to close it, because we do operate with closed locked doors throughout the school day here in 2025. When it comes to our overall campus security, we've really had deep discussions with your design team and again with community and staff about we don't want to build fences all around everything. That's not how we do it in Gunnison and Crested Butte. We are able to invite our community into our spaces. We've gotten more clear about during school hours, this is the kids' space, and community, you're welcome during non-school hours. And signage has done a lot for us that way, but also design elements that defines the boundaries that we need to define without being 6 to 8 foot chain link fence all over everywhere. But it says, hey, you're entering our space now. Welcome. And here's when you're allowed to be here. And here's how we would like you to behave when you are here. So it's the suggestions through design that say, you've entered a school campus now, and communicating, here's the behaviors that we want you to have while you're in our space, on our campuses. When we all know each other and we are in a smaller environment than the Denver metro area, we do tend to have that feeling of recognizing several people when we show up at a school event. When we know each other, we're safer. When we feel connected to each other, we're safer. And the way we've designed our schools to have that, please come in, and we've got this second set of doors that is very carefully controlled. If you're supposed to be here, please come all the way in. And then once you're all the way in, these spaces support what we want to be doing here. You do belong here. This is your space. I think we found that balance. And it was only with the expertise of your design team and knowing how to create that feeling both on our sites, on our campuses, and in our buildings that I'm just so excited about that part of the process that we went through and the conversations we had about how do we find this balance among all these competing pressures.
Well, yeah, thank you for saying that. I do think your district and community, like all, have to find that balance with culture and the feelings of security. And a lot of the systems, obviously, you don't see, or you might see a little bit, right? Door locking and security cameras and all sorts of things that are, preventative. But we do know, we hope that we don't have a safety and security event, but we have to be ready just in case. Right. But we do know that every day these spaces are used for education. Yep. And so they've got to support that. So finding that culture, and I think you guys did a great job where it's safe and you're prepared, you have the right protocols, but it's still a space for education.
That's right.
And a space for the community. So I'm curious, what have you noticed so far? I know you've only been open a few weeks. Has there been any community comments, or have you noticed anything educationally that
Absolutely
are changes?
I'll mention the building we're in now, our Pathways Center. One of the items we called out in the bond language was that we want to improve our career and technical education programming. And the focus for that wasn't only on this building, but this was kind of the, cornerstone of the work we were doing there. And our director here, Chad Terry, and I, in talking about building the courses and the program that we were envisioning in healthcare, in outdoor industry and tourism, including culinary arts, in our hairstyling program. In building those programs, we felt like, well, the first year will be kind of a soft launch. We'll have small classes with just, a handful of kids in most classes is a great way to start. And we'll go from there. We'll build slowly. And enrollment in the spring was slow. A lot of schedule juggling happens as kids come back to school. Classes are full. We have classes of 15 to 20 in 3 introductory culinary arts programs, 2 that are slightly more advanced with programming that we started last year. The healthcare program has, I think, doubled in size this year. That's our certified nurse aide. Our outdoor industry and tourism, our outdoor leadership program had, single-digit enrollment to start, and those are full classes now. We're not even a quarter of the way into our school year, and kids are thrilled. They hear about the spaces, they get to come over here and see what's going on, and they want to be involved. And I can't say enough about how exciting that feels that, wow, we built it, and they're coming, and it's working. And I think our culinary arts instructional facility here is not just like the pride of this valley, or even just this kind of region, West Central region. It's the entire Western Slope. Like, there's just not a facility like this that exists for teaching kids that part of our tourist economy. And that was a lot of the conversation that we had really early in the facility planning process too, was to talk to our business leaders up and down Valley through our chambers of commerce and realtors and small business owners. What do you want from your school district? And being sure that we were providing programming that allowed kids who want to stay here and be part of this incredible place to have not just entry-level skills to get by, but to really build a career that they can sustain with. And that's what we're doing in this building, and then also in our high school building and our Crested Butte School building, and even at our middle school. One of the projects here in Gunnison, one of the parts of the project was to renovate our life skills and construction sciences and science, technology, engineering, art, and math, our STEAM program, and all of that kind of falls under the umbrella of career and technical education, and it feeds into these programs as well. So that entire feel, even early in the year, has been very rewarding. I will say too, even though our Crested Butte School still has another full year to go in getting to the finish line, the spaces that were renovated over the summer in that building, and also at our Gunnison Community School at the elementary and middle school levels, one of the features that I hear so much about from teachers are the spill-out spaces, the flexible spaces just outside of classrooms that allow for small group work or a different type of gathering of maybe 2 classes to participate in a display of learning event of some kind. They are these spaces that are kind of outside the classroom, the typical classroom, but intended to be instructional, are working. And teachers are thrilled. They have instructional walls and projection capabilities and comfortable seating for kids to spill out and do the work that they need to do or participate in a learning event of whatever description. Tons of flexibility, and I keep hearing that. Oh, we don't have lockers blocking all this space anymore. We're doing storage of stuff in a different way, and now we can actually do things with kids here, and kids are engaging socially here in ways that they haven't before at our Gunnison Middle School. And those are some of the, kind of the early returns that we're hearing as we're still kind of getting through the final parts of the Gunnison project, and then in the middle of things in Crested Butte.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, having attractive spaces and programs that students actually want to be at and want to learn.
Yep.
I actually wish I could come back and have some of these opportunities, because
Same.
they didn't exist back when I was going to school. I'm just going back to the community engagement. I mean, you're really, I think, the envy of a lot of districts and other schools that haven't been able to get here, at least maybe not yet. And obviously it's been a long time coming. You said you started in 2018, and that's when the district was really starting to look at kind of master planning and really starting to begin that community engagement for the next set of needs. So here we are 7 years later. We still have some work to get done in Crested Butte. What would you say to those other school districts that are kind of at that point, and it's like, oh, I can't wait that long, but what would you say, or what would lessons learned or encouragement about, just continuing to stay engaged and try and move them along that path that their community needs?
Absolutely. I think that was one of the biggest learnings of my entire career in educational leadership so far, has been that things take time, and the urgency is so real. We have kids today who need good spaces and so many other things. And keep your eye on the long game is my biggest piece of advice. Don't feel defeated. I failed a bond measure in my previous district in Hinsdale County and felt like, I guess it's over. I guess we're not doing this. And that can be very much part of a process in educating your community, in listening better to your community about what the needs actually are so that you're aligned with what they want to support. Here in the Gunnison Watershed School District, there were no guarantees. This is like any rural area, like any school district. There's no guarantee that your people are going to come together and voluntarily spend more tax dollars, raise their own taxes to support their schools. And when you dig deep into the listening process, when you are responsive to what you're hearing, and when you, as an organization, with your team of leaders, can recognize it's not linear. Like, it's a very recursive process, and there's failures, what feels like failures along the way are actually just part of how it goes. And don't lose sight of that bigger goal. And it might not even be you. If you're in a position where you're trying to get this done, it might be the next person, but the work that you're doing to lay the groundwork matters. And keep listening, stay the course. It's a long game. Keep your eye on that longer term goal.
Just to dig on that a little bit more, it seems like sometimes when you bring change or need a change, and start to make that more public, the loudest voices are the negative voices. How do you go about, and everyone has busy lives, right? And so how do you go about getting that engagement, trying to get people to show up and share, because they care, but it's also, one more event. Are there any things that you've learned along the way that help to get more people engaged early, or is it just varied by community?
I think a couple of takeaways I have from this work is, you're right, we hear the negative voices. People, when they're motivated by negative feelings that they have about something, are more likely to speak up. And one of my biggest takeaways is move closer to those negative voices, the people who are struggling, the people who disagree. Like, instead of putting up a wall or saying, I can't talk to that person, they're so rude, or whatever the feeling that you're having is, actually step closer physically if they're at a meeting, or really in communication, whether it's by email or make a phone call or whatever, and invite more of what's on their mind. Because it's the people who maybe are starting negative, they care a lot. And if we can find that common ground by just listening more and asking, I hear that you're upset about this. Like, what's so upsetting about that? Talk to me. And then pick up on the next thing that they say and say, well, how could we make that better? Like, what would it look like for you if we were doing this right for your family? And then you get so many good ideas. And then you build on those. And I think, too, as far as community engagement goes, it's often the one-on-one conversations I have found that end up with those people talk to their friends and talk to their friends. And that can end up building support and understanding of the position that the district is coming from. Because really, 9 times out of 10, we are all on the same team. We all really want what's best for our kids and our community and our future collectively together. And sometimes it can feel a lot like conflict, but the longer we listen and ask for more information, the more we can get to a place of, oh yeah, we actually agree. Oh, you really want like this particular kind of program for your kid in high school? We can get there. Like, let's talk about what that might look like. Or, you're really concerned about school safety. I am too. Here's like, what does it look like to you? Perfect. Here's how we're building towards that. I can get frustrated when we go to efforts to have an event to invite people to talk about, a design process or a stakeholder engagement event. Like, we're going to talk about our facility plans. Please come and share with us. And maybe it's not well attended, and that can feel defeating. But I try to take if I have a positive contact and a good conversation with 3 people tonight, that's a win. And yeah, we'll go lick our wounds that we didn't communicate it well enough, or revisit with our team and debrief and say, how did we miss the mark here that we didn't get what we thought we were going to get? Let's try again. It's iterative. That's your whole world. It's our world too, in communication, of really figuring out how to meet people where they are, so that they have the time, or we meet them at the coffee shop during, a moment that's better for them, whatever it is, to be that listening ear, as we are the public's school district.
Boy, Leslie, that harkens back to where you started about the school district being such an important part of our democracy. And it feels like in today's society, you talked about listening and moving closer to those that are in disagreement. And it feels like right now we listen to be ready to argue back. I listen to try and put you in a box so that I can try and convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
And really it's about kind of letting go of some of our own biases and really listening with a listening heart to try and understand and find those common grounds. I just think that is such great advice for any bond program, building program, but just in life and where we are right now, because there's a lot of things that, the negative voices or the people that disagree, I think we're too quick to write them off, and it's really sad and difficult. So I really appreciate that. That's really good advice for life, quite frankly.
I agree. I'll just jump in real quick too and say I really felt like the Treanor design team, when we were going through the process of getting to the plans for this project, I was repeatedly impressed by your team's ability to take hard comments or pushback or anything negative and just calmly listen and validate and listen, and not be planning I hear what you're saying, but here's why, what we know is right.
Right.
That's not your approach. That's not your team's approach. It's very much, we have a lot to learn here. Thank you for being here tonight, because we need to know what matters to you. And then our job is to go back to the studio and put it into action. So I really always appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciated that about the process that we went through with your team.
Yeah, thank you. Is there a word or a phrase that would sum up for you what this experience has been about? And maybe it's not fair to try and get it down to a word or a phrase, but just curious.
I talk to my team and my staff a lot about the work we do is really hard, and we're zoomed in to the nitty gritty. But when I zoom out on this project, which is something I encourage people to do a lot in the business of education that we're in, because it is rocket science. It is so hard. When I zoom out on this project, I just feel gratitude. I feel so overwhelmingly grateful to this community. It was a close vote in 2022. We barely got it across the finish line. There were many people who woke up the day after the election who did not want their taxes to go up, who did not believe in this project. I feel such gratitude, especially to those folks who are paying taxes that they didn't vote for, that they are doing that with the responsibility that owning property holds in our country, in this state, the way we do facilities for our school districts, that their money is supporting generations of impact with the spaces that we've managed to build these few years. Kids and their families in our community will benefit for decades from this work. It will be upgraded again in another 20 years, whatever it is. Yeah. But the groundwork that's been laid right now will carry. The vision that we've put into bricks and mortar will bring students into safe, warm, connected spaces where their brains can get turned on to all the opportunities that are out there in the world just waiting for them. Their curiosity can be piqued. Their connections with friends, which is so important, can be supported and engendered because they have good spaces to do that. We are so grateful to our community for that opportunity and to put into physical space this value that as a public school district we hold for the future of Gunnison, the future of Crested Butte, the future of this valley, this state, this country. When we do education well, it's the future that benefits. And all of us get to feel that, wow, this matters, and this is good stuff, and these spaces are making the magic happen.
That is so good. Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah.
And with that, we'll close out, but I do want to encourage others to join our next Ed Talks.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Treanor Talks. Treanor is a national architecture, planning, and design firm located in the United States. We hold a firm belief in sharing resources and insights with professionals, clients, communities, and building users to shape the spaces we use every day. For more information, visit our website at treanor.design. That's TREANOR.DESIGN. See you next time.